Alrighty. G'day guys, welcome to lesson 2. So today we'll be taking you a couple of steps further in terms of learning about coding. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start by getting you to add a couple of numbers up. Okay, so one of the things that we are going to show you quickly, first up, is how to enter data into multiple cells, multiple cells on a spreadsheet at once. Okay, so I'm just going to create a sub, and this sub will be in the end, will be adding two numbers together. So add, and I'm going to put in again a name that makes sense. Add two numbers. And that'll do. Okay, so we've got ourselves a new sub. Now the first thing is that if I want to put some data into this, and we'll just nice and simply at this stage reuse the code we've got there. We'll just paste it in. Now, if we wanted to, let's say we wanted to put 100 in, and instead of wanting to put it in just one box, which is A1, let's say we wanted to put it into 4 boxes. We want to put it in these 4 boxes. What we can do is we can actually modify the code very, very slightly to actually do that. So if we put a colon in front of the A where the A1 is, and then we add A4, what that means is that is the range that is highlighted on the screen currently. So if we click play, you can see that it's going to populate all of those cells. Okay, so it's just something a little bit extra. Okay, so let's say we decide that we want to add two numbers together and display it on the screen. So if we want to do that, we can use our message box. And of course, we don't want to, and we want to make sure that the values are dynamic, so that whatever's in those cells, this program works no matter what. Okay. So if I want to do that, what I would do is it's going to turn red for me. Okay. Is that I would take my cell references. So in this case, we've got cell A1. And if we want to add the value of cell A1 to cell A2, what we can do is we can put those two references in. Okay, and so what you can do is we can push play, and hopefully it should return a value of 200. So it means it's adding those two numbers together. Now, if we wanted to do a different number, and always whenever you do these things, always tests more than one. So I'm going to put in a number of 1. Okay. So if I rerun the macro just to make sure it should give me a value of 101, and it hasn't. And that's because I left that on. Sorry, I'll change that value again. Because when I push the button, when I pushed the button, it ran the full program, which the start of the program was to actually put in two values of 100. So I just got rid of that, and it should give me 101 now. 200, still 200. What's going on? It's a disaster. Let's have a look. So that we don't need anymore. Let's see if we can get it to do what we want it to do. It's still displaying 200, so why is it displaying 200? Oh, I know why, because I've made a coding error. Okay, so can anyone, hopefully at this point you can spot why my code wasn't working, and this is why you check it. So you see I've just made an error. So I have put in reference 1, which is, I've just realized, cell A1, and then I have put in reference the next one, cell A1. So what the program is doing is giving me a value for what I've told it to do, which is to add cell A1 together twice. Instead, what I actually wanted to do was put cell 1 and cell A2, and then I should get the correct answer of 101. There we go. Okay, and that's why you test it multiple times. Okay, so once we've done that, let's say that we want to add two numbers together. So let's say we wanted to create a macro now that incrementally increased this number. Okay, so whatever the value was in that cell A1, Okay. We wanted an increment to go up. So I'm going to put in a new sub. And I'm going to call it increment and spell. It's a disaster. Increment up. Okay, so it makes a little bit of sense what I'm trying to do. So if I want to do that, so I just want the value of this to go up each time this macro is run. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I need that cell reference. So I'm going to, again, I'm lazy and I just go and take a copy of this one. Pop it in here. Okay, so I have that cell reference. And so what I'm actually doing now is I'm saying to it, all right, we want that cell reference to equal what it currently is valued at plus 1. Okay. So if we do something like that, then what we can do is each time we run the macro, keep running and keep pushing play, it's going up by one each time. Okay, so it's creating that sort of response. Now let's say for a moment we also want to have one where the increment is going down. So we can do exactly the same thing. And again, I'm going to be lazy. I don't like typing any more than I have to. So I'm going to paste that there again. And instead of up, I'm going to put down. And then instead of it going up by 1, it's now going down by 1. Okay, so and so if I push play, it should be going down by 1 each time, which it is. So let's say, for example, we decided that we wanted to put a couple of buttons on here, and we wanted those buttons to push that number up and down. Okay, so what we might do is get ourselves a button. Okay, and we'll call a button. Okay, and we want one of the buttons to say, and you'll see that, and this is where naming them with something that makes sense, you'll see that when I put assign macro in, it gives me a list of all the names of all the different subs or programs that I have in there. So ink up is the one I want. Okay, so, and I'm going to change the name of the box to up. Okay, there we go. So I have one that's going up. So I'll make this a bit bigger. There we go. Okay, so if we test it works, so it goes up. And now let's say we want a second button so that we can adjust the value down. So again, we're going to create a button. We're going to click ink down. Okay. Okay, and so what we have is where something goes up, something goes down, and we've got some sort of interactive sort of spreadsheet that will get some user input. Now let's say we wanted to do something like let's say we do something like we want a reset button, so we want this to all work nicely. So we want, let's say, it to be reset back to 0. We can also create a sub called reset. And what we can do is that we can have a little a cell, and it's just really simple piece of code. We want this value to be reset back to 0. Oops. Once we have that, okay, what we can do is we can insert a button. So I'm going to put a button in, same size again, and I'm going to put reset in, okay? And we can rename it reset. So with these things, what makes these things very user-friendly is making sure you name everything properly. Okay, so now we've got ourselves a reset button. So that will go back to 0, and up by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then down by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got, and we can go negative for you. And then if we want to reset it, there you go. So now you've got a kind of a groovy little function. Now, if obviously we're just doing pluses and minuses, but obviously you can also do things like multiplication and stuff like that. So let's say we wanted to do something like, and we wanted to multiply two numbers together. We could use, I'm just going to call this one sub math. Okay, so let's say I wanted cell 1 to be multiplied, and what I wanted to do was I just wanted to display it as a message box. Put a message box in, and let's say that I want to multiply it by another cell, and I'm going to put this in. I'm going to put the number in F1. Okay. And what? So let's say we'll put number 5. So if we had, let's say 7 times 5, we should get, when we run this macro, we should get, if my maths is correct, 35. So let's run it and see what it does. Okay, so it's produced, so you can actually get it to do multiplications. And so with the multiplication symbol too, just be aware it's the star. So it's above Shift A for this one. But if you also wanted to do division, it would be the divide or the slash button, divide. So we wanted to do 5 times 6, you're going to get a decimal of, I don't know, 1 point something. Okay, so if we do that, okay, 1.4, there you go. Okay, and then if we wanted to do something else like minus, so we can do any number of multiple, different mathematical functions. Okay, so that's pretty much how you use these sort of things. So your task for today is to be able to create me a spreadsheet that performs calculations on 2 different numbers. Okay, and so what we want you to do, and I've got my little, is we want you to create a spreadsheet that has macros that perform addition, subtraction, and multiplication. You can also put in division if you want. And the answer needs to be displayed in a message box that states the operation that's been performed. Okay, so what you want to do basically is set up a couple of different macros similar to what I've done here. Okay, and you'd have one for division, one for multiplication, and that sort of thing. But instead of producing a value in a cell somewhere, what we want you to do is produce a text response. Hang on, I've lost where this thing is. There we go. So we want you to produce the, if you click the multiplication button, for example, we want to know what numbers are being multiplied in and what they equal. Okay, so you've got to think a little bit about how to structure the message box line of the data. So give that a go, and hopefully you won't have too many problems. Cheers.